The algorithm of lies. The night that changed everything. The storm that night was unlike anything the city had seen in years. Rain hammered against the glass walls of Apex General Hospital, neon lights flickering in and out through sheets of water. Inside the ER, chaos reigned. Doctors shouted orders. Nurses rushed with equipment. Alarms wailed. On the table lay a man whose face everyone in the country knew. Victor Harlan, the billionaire tech mogul whose empire powered half the world's digital systems. But now, his empire meant nothing. His pulse was fading, and even the most skilled doctors were failing to keep him alive. Then, the doors creaked open. A young woman stood there, her hair damp from the rain, her coat heavy with water, her eyes, sharp and unwavering, cut through the panic. Nobody recognized her. Nobody invited her in. But in the next 10 minutes, she would do what the best minds in medicine and technology could not. And in doing so, she would unravel a conspiracy that stretched far beyond the walls of this hospital. Her name was Rita Call, and this was the night she became the one person the world's most powerful man would never forget. Before the storm, years before Rita found herself in that ER, she was just another forgotten name in a forgotten town. Her childhood was nothing like the children of the rich and powerful she would one day meet. The town she grew up in was the kind of place maps didn't bother to update anymore, a cluster of worn-out houses, cracked roads, and broken dreams. Rita's mother, a factory worker, raised her alone. Her father had disappeared before she turned 5, swallowed by the poverty that chained men to desperation. The worst day of Rita's life came when she was just 10 years old. Her mother collapsed in their one-room home. There were no doctors nearby, no ambulance that would arrive in time, and certainly no hospital willing to treat someone with no money. Rita remembered kneeling on the floor, clutching her mother's cold hands, screaming for help that never came. That image, her mother's lifeless eyes, the silence that followed her last breath, burned into Rita's mind. She swore she would never again watch someone die when they could be saved. But the world was cruel to dreamers. When she told her relatives she wanted to become a doctor, they laughed in her face. "People like us don't make it out," they said. "You'll end up just like your mother." Rita didn't argue. She just worked harder. She studied by candlelight when the power was cut. She memorized old, torn medical books she found in a junk shop. She shadowed the only town doctor, cleaning his clinic in exchange for scraps of knowledge. She became obsessed, driven not by ambition, but by vengeance. Vengeance against the silence that had stolen her mother. Her break came when she won a scholarship to a top medical school in the city. But dreams in the city came at a cost. The outsider. The city was overwhelming. Glass towers scraping the sky, cars gliding by like predators, people who had never known hunger or despair. Rita was an outsider the moment she arrived. While her classmates partied, she studied. While they mocked her accent and her secondhand clothes, she dissected cases in her dorm room, solving medical puzzles before professors even explained them. She had a gift, but talent wasn't enough. In the elite halls of medicine, she was always a girl from nowhere. She learned to live on coffee and 4 hours of sleep. She learned that mistakes weren't forgiven. And she learned that in this world, success wasn't just about saving lives. It was about politics, reputation, and power. Still, Rita thrived. Every rejection hardened her resolve. Every insult became fuel. And then one night, fate placed her in the center of a storm. The collapse. Victor Harlan was a man worshipped by millions and feared by even more. His company, Helix Corp, built the algorithms that control banking systems, surveillance networks, even government defense codes. He wasn't just rich, he was untouchable. Until the night he collapsed. It happened during a private dinner at his penthouse. His bodyguards carried him, unconscious, into Apex General. Within minutes, the hospital's top specialists filled the ER. But nothing worked. His vitals crashed, his body trembled, and panic spread like wildfire. The richest man in the world was dying, and no one could stop it. That was the moment Rita passed by. She wasn't supposed to be there. She was still a junior, still climbing a ladder, still invisible. But something about the shouting inside drew her in. She shouldn't have entered, but she did. The impossible diagnosis. "Who are you? One of the senior doctors snapped when Rita stepped inside. She ignored him. Her eyes were locked on the monitors, on the uneven dilation of Victor's pupils, on the discoloration in his fingertips. "This isn't cardiac failure," Rita said. Her voice was steady, though her heart pounded like a drum. The room froze. She explained what she saw: signs of internal carotid artery dissection, a rare, often fatal condition that mimicked heart attacks but required entirely different treatment. She had seen it once before in her village, when a construction worker collapsed in the same way. Everyone had misdiagnosed him, but Rita had remembered. If she was right, Victor Harlan had minutes left before a stroke destroyed his brain. The senior doctor scoffed. Impossible. Too rare. But Rita didn't flinch. She grabbed the syringe, her hands precise. "If we don't act now, he's gone." The lead doctor hesitated. Giving the wrong drug could kill Harlan faster. But Rita's conviction left no room for doubt. "Do it," the doctor ordered. Seconds later, the monitor beeped steadily. Color returned to Victor's face. His breathing stabilized. Rita had done the impossible, and that was just the beginning. Taken. Before the room could recover from the shock, the doors burst open. Two men in dark suits, faces unreadable, strode inside. "You," one of them said, pointing at Rita, "come with us." The other doctors protested, but Rita was already being escorted out, her mind racing. Had she broken some rule? Was she in trouble? They led her through a series of sterile corridors until she reached a private suite. The silence was suffocating. Then the door opened. A tall woman in a navy blue suit entered, her presence sharp as glass. She introduced herself as Elena Voss, Victor Harlan's personal chief of staff. "Dr. Call," Elena said. "Mr. Harlan is alive because of you. That is not something we take lightly." Rita sat frozen, unsure if this was praise or a warning. "You saw what no one else did. You acted when others hesitated. That kind of skill is rare, and it does not go unnoticed." Rita frowned. "I just did what needed to be done." Elena smiled faintly. "Exactly, which is why Mr. Harlan wants you on his personal medical team." The word stunned her. A billionaire's private doctor? It was the kind of offer that guaranteed wealth, recognition, security, everything she had fought for. But Rita hesitated. The offer, when she finally met Victor Harlan, he was propped up in bed, pale but alive. His sharp eyes studied her like a puzzle. "They tell me you're just a junior doctor," he said. "Yet you saved me. How?" "Because I never stopped paying attention," Rita replied. "Medicine isn't about reputation. It's about seeing what's right in front of you." Elena interrupted, explaining the offer again. A place in Victor's inner circle, unimaginable resources, a career set for life. But as Rita stood there, the memory of her mother returned. Her mother had died in a place where there were no doctors, no money, no second chances. She hadn't fought her way here for wealth or power. So she said the unthinkable. "I'm honored, but I cannot accept." Victor's brow furrowed. "Why?" "Because there are millions of people who don't have teams of doctors to save them. I became a doctor for them." Silence followed. Then Victor Harlan, the man whose empire thrived on control, did something unexpected. He smiled. "You are different," he said, "and that's exactly why I want to help you." The real crime. Victor wasn't offering her a job anymore. He was offering her something else. "A hospital," he said. "Anywhere you want. No limitations. You saved my life. Let me return the favor." Rita's breath caught. Was he serious? But as she would soon discover, Victor Harlan's collapse hadn't been an accident. It was the first move in a much larger game, because someone had tried to kill him. And the same technology that made him untouchable was the very thing that almost destroyed him. What Rita thought was the end of her story was only the beginning of a case that would expose secrets no one was supposed to see. Victor Harlan's collapse had been written off by most as a rare medical event. But Rita couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Doctors relied on digital records, heart monitors, electronic scans, AI diagnostics. But Rita trusted her eyes first, and what she saw that night didn't match the data in his chart. According to the hospital system, Victor's vitals had been perfectly normal just minutes before he collapsed. No spikes, no warnings, no irregularities. Impossible. It was as if someone had scrubbed the evidence clean. The trace. Late that night, while the hospital quieted, Rita returned to Victor's room under the guise of routine monitoring. He was asleep, but the machines around him hummed quietly. She leaned closer, pulling up the diagnostic logs. At first, they looked pristine. Too pristine. Every reading, every number, symmetrical, polished, without the usual messy fluctuations of a living body. It looked generated. And then she saw it. A hidden line of code buried deep inside the timestamp logs. A single variable repeating every 3 seconds. VX 13. This wasn't random. This was a signature. Rita's blood ran cold. Someone had tampered with Victor Harlan's biometric data. Not just altered it, overwritten it in real time. This wasn't medicine anymore. This was hacking. Allies in the shadows. When Rita confronted Elena Voss the next morning, the assistant's calm mask slipped for the first time. "You shouldn't be looking at those files," Elena warned. "Someone tried to kill him." Rita shot back, and whoever was had access to the hospital systems. Elena studied her, then finally exhaled. "You're right, and if you keep digging, they'll come after you too." Instead of shutting her down, Elena led her to someone who could help. Marcus Kane, Helix Corp's cybersecurity chief. He was tall, wiry, with restless eyes that looked like they hadn't seen sleep in weeks. He didn't like doctors, and he definitely didn't like outsiders. But Elena vouched for Rita. She showed him the VX 13 code. His face hardened instantly. "That's not hospital software," Marcus muttered. "That's ours. Helix code." "You mean," Rita whispered. "Yes. Someone inside the company tried to kill Victor Harlan, and they nearly succeeded. The chase through data." Rita and Marcus worked through the night, combing through Helix servers. What they found was chilling. An unauthorized script had been uploaded into Harlan's wearable health implant weeks earlier. A piece of nanotech designed to monitor his vitals had been turned into a weapon. The VX 13 code had been written to trigger a microclot in his arteries, perfectly timed to mimic a natural collapse. Even worse, the AI systems were programmed to erase all evidence, leaving only clean medical records that showed nothing was wrong. It was the perfect digital crime. But one mistake remained. The hacker had used an encrypted signature. Rita recognized it from her studies, a rare form of asymmetric encryption. If they could trace it, they could find the traitor. Just as Marcus began the decryption, alarms blared on his console. "Someone's onto us," he hissed. "They know we're tracing them." A second later, the hospital lights flickered. Security doors locked. The system was under attack. Betrayal in the dark. In the chaos, Rita and Marcus scrambled to shut down the breach. But then Rita noticed something. Marcus wasn't panicking. He was guiding the attack. Her stomach dropped. "You!" she whispered. Marcus smiled thinly. "Smart girl. Smarter than I gave you credit for." He wasn't protecting Harlan. He was the one who planted VX 13. "Why?" Rita demanded. "Because no man should hold that much power," Marcus said coldly. "Harlan owns the algorithms that run governments. The world bows to him. I wanted to show that even he could bleed." Rita's pulse raced. Marcus wasn't just a traitor, he was a zealot. And now, with the hospital system under his control, he could finish what he started. He locked down the monitors, cutting Harlan's life support from the digital side. "You can't stop me," he sneered. "Not without me seeing it coming." But Marcus had forgotten one thing. Rita wasn't a hacker. She was a doctor, and medicine still beat machines. Racing the algorithm. Rita sprinted back to Harlan's suite, alarms still wailing. His monitors blinked red, artificial readings flooding the screens. But Rita ignored the machines. She looked at the man. His breathing was shallow, his pulse weak. She grabbed a crash cart and worked manually, bypassing the digital systems Marcus controlled. Adrenaline surged through her veins. Every second mattered. As Marcus's voice echoed to the hospital speakers, "You can't win, Rita. The system is mine." She blocked him out. Her hands worked with precision, her instincts guiding her faster than any algorithm could. And slowly, miraculously, Victor Harlan's pulse stabilized again. She had beaten the machine. But Marcus wasn't done. The final reveal. Police sirens wailed outside. Elena stormed in with security, guns raised. Marcus was cornered in his control room, frantically trying to wipe evidence. But Rita had already anticipated him. Before confronting Harlan's vitals, she had quietly inserted a local recorder chip into machine, a backup Marcus couldn't touch remotely. Every line of his sabotage was saved, every attempt to overwrite files, every command tied to his ID. When the officers dragged Marcus out, screaming about justice and freedom, Rita handed Elena the chip. "Everything you need is here," she said. For the first time, Elena looked at her not as an outsider, but as an equal. The choice. Later, Victor Harlan sat across from Rita, his face pale but alive. "They tell me you saved me twice now," he said quietly. "First from death, then from betrayal." Rita shrugged. "I just did what anyone should." Harlan chuckled. "No, Dr. Call. Nobody else could have. You are rare." He offered her the world again, money, power, a permanent place in his empire. But Rita shook her head. "I don't want your empire," she said softly. "I want a world where people like my mother don't die because no one shows up." Harlan studied her for a long time. Then he did something unexpected. He nodded. "Then I'll build it for you." Months later, news outlets buzz about a new initiative. The Call Foundation, a network of AI-powered clinics in forgotten towns, free for anyone who needed them. No one knew the full story of how it began. Only whispers remained. Of a junior doctor who saved the richest man alive and uncovered the algorithm of lies meant to kill him. And in her quiet office, far from the spotlight, Rita wrote a single note in her journal. "Technology is powerful, but in the end, it is only as moral as the people who wield it. Machines don't decide between life and death. We do." In the end, Rita exposes the plot, saves not just Harlan, but thousands of innocent people whose lives were at risk from corrupted medical algorithms. She refuses his money, instead asking to fund open-source medical AI accessible to poor communities. Standing in front of flashing cameras, Rita doesn't look like a billionaire savior or celebrity doctor. She looks like what she always wanted to be, a girl who refused to give up. And she leaves us with this. Technology can save lives, but in the wrong hands, it can take them too. The real question isn't what machines can do, but who controls them and why. Stay vigilant. This is the Digital Detective. Digital Detective presents stories to educate, inspire critical thinking, and highlight the power of technology in uncovering truth. Always verify facts and report wrongdoing through official channels. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Thank you.